This is Kristin.
And I'm Steve, and you are listening to Cycling Together, a podcast about all things bikes, riding, and riding together.
We are just back from a very unusual thing for us. We left the house on a Sunday morning and we went to brunch
In Boston.
in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
We're only about 40 minutes from Boston, so it shouldn't be as remarkable as it is. But we went into the city to what?
The Pan Mass Challenge had their check presentation. Yeah, it was packed with people.
Yep.
And they did the whole check presentation to Dana Farber. It's really just a meet and greet type of thing. And it was $78 million this year.
They keep pushing that bar and they keep hitting it. So thank you to everyone who donated to us. And so that wraps up the PMC for this year. And today we're going to be talking about another ride, something that we're organizing.
Mm-hmm.
It's happening right now. But before we get to that, we should talk about the ride we did. Was it just last weekend?
Oh, it had to be 2 weekends ago, right? So we did every year, the mountain bike riders in the town where the shop is located in Sherborne organize a 50K ride. So anywhere in the low 30-mile range. And I think this year we did 30 to 33. So that was your longest mountain bike ride, right?
Yeah, this year I decided that I was going to give it a go. I decided I was not going to go with you ding dongs because I just wanted to have my own pace. I had a couple of women that I've been riding with join me, and it was great. We started with a big group, and then I gotta go. The kids are babysitters done, or so but we were down to our core three by the end. We ended up. It was a nice course because it was very compact, and so we could lop off some bits of it and get back on the track very quickly.
Yeah, this year we kept it all within the town.
Which is remarkable that you could do.
Which is, yes.
So we did 24 miles, most of it on the trails.
Mm-hmm.
And as Sophie, our daughter, said when I called her later, she was like, "Oh, you just ride every mile when you're doing a mountain bike ride." And her point was you can't make it up, right? You can't be like, "Oh, well, this is going slow, but I'm about to hit the road and we're going to do 5 miles on the road and we'll make up some time." No, if we hit the road, it was for like a quarter of a mile, half a mile. So I was out there for 3 hours. And it was good. It was great. I do think next year I can probably push a little further, get the full 50K. One question that I had is I was riding with a friend who's on an e-mountain bike, and even being pretty conservative with her boost, because all the e-bikes have different levels of boost.
Yes.
She barely made it back to the start at 24 miles before she was going to be done with her battery.
Well, she doesn't need a battery to pedal her bike.
Well, she doesn't, but it's not like a road bike. It's a heavy mountain bike, and if we were going through some technical stuff, that's a weighty bike to not have your motor.
Sure.
And just the question was, I assume you can't hot swap a battery out of a mountain bike. So
no, you're not carrying one of those batteries in your backpack.
Yeah, exactly. So how can you extend the range of a mountain bike like that?
There are many e-bikes like that, which you can have an auxiliary battery, which takes up the spot of usually your bottle cage.
Oh, okay.
And then depending on the bike, one of the two, or maybe just the primary bottle cage mount. And then it plugs into the spot where you normally charge your battery. So you basically are adding extra capacity onto your system.
How much does that weigh? Is that?
Well, they're not as big of a battery as the primary battery.
Right.
And it probably weighs anywhere between 10 to 15 pounds.
And how much more would that get somebody, do you think? Would that double capacity?
No, because they're not usually as big of a battery.
Got it.
So maybe another I'd say 25 to 50% from some of the auxiliary batteries I know, or what they normally would get.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, this was a big ride for her. I don't think it was a problem. But it just turned out we got lucky that we had already had it in our minds that we were gonna cut off some miles,
Mm-hmm.
and it just happened that we did it perfectly. Right.
All right. So
Yeah, no, it
worked
worked out great. Absolutely. She didn't need any more. The two of us who were riding her with her were done. But I'm always just really impressed with a ride like that, just because how you string together all of these different trails.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, in this case, it was pretty funny. There were a couple of areas where they had like do not trespass signs, but people either had permission for this event,
Right.
but I didn't know that. So as I was riding, four or five moms, when we started, would stop and be like, I don't know, can we go? Can we, what street? And I was like, okay, well, and we were like sleuthing for, well, we can see tire tracks went this way. So I'm sure this is where they went. Like one of them was carved out of somebody's backyard.
Oh, that was Ken's house.
Yeah,
Sure.
because you had knocked the fence down. Basically, they took a panel out of the fence so that we could get through. But we're just standing there on the edge of somebody's yard going, is this where we're supposed to go?
That would
I mean,
probably be the worst in terms of
Say you
wondering if you could go
can.
that way.
And that's when we're like, I think I see tracks. It looks flatter. And that's when I found out later it was Ken's house. So
There were 60-ish riders or so. So it broke down into a lot of different groups.
there's a very organic quality to rides like that one because they're not structured in a way like we all were starting at the same time, but there wasn't like the A group, the B group, the C group. It kind of was like whoever ends up together ends up together.
Yeah.
Unless you
Exactly.
Unless
Yes,
you
it
arranged
was
it.
self-selection. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and we have a bagpiper that starts us off in the morning.
He was great.
He was great, right?
He started playing something and he says, did you recognize that? Did you recognize that? And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I wasn't really paying attention. Thinking he was going to be like, yeah, it was the new, Ophelia by Taylor Swift or something like that. And he goes, well, I saw all the people wearing the No Kings buttons. So it's the Ukrainian national anthem. I was like, of course it is.
He knows that in bagpipes.
He knew that in bagpipes
Okay.
and somehow also thought I might know that well enough
Sure.
to be able to identify it. But yeah, he gave a great send off for like everyone going out, and he and I had a nice chat about how he goes to these different events and bagpipes. I don't know how one finds a bagpiper. All right, well, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about the Hallowed Groad.
Yes,
And I said that Groad with a G.
Groad. So we're saying that we're talking about the Hallowed Groad, but what we're really going to be talking about, which is in the spirit of the 50K that we just mentioned, is this idea of how to plan a route that pulls together maybe disparate parts. But let's take a quick break and we'll come back and dive right into it.
Okay.
Okay, we're back. So as you said, we're going to talk about the Hallowed Groad.
Mm-hmm.
And the Hallowed Groad is, what is it?
There's one, we'll backtrack here on the name real quick.
Yes.
Groad is a combination of gravel and road, and it was a...
Is it a real or did you make it up?
Well, no, I didn't make it up. It came out, and maybe people thought it would take off in terms of a term, and it did not.
Right.
So, and it hasn't. Sort of like brifter, right? The brake shifter that we all have on our road bikes. Right? If you think about it, the shifter is integrated with the brakes. People were calling them brifters. People still sometimes call it brifters, but that name never really took off.
Honestly say I've never heard the word brifter.
Groad never really took off either.
Got it.
But it fits when this was conceived of this idea for this ride, it was an idea of mine that came about years and years ago, and then it took us years to actually start it. before I had thought about it.
I was gonna say it took you years to actually tell me about it
Yes.
before we even. So I didn't know it had been kicking around your brain for a while.
And it's not necessarily an original idea, but it was designed to be a scavenger hunt ride.
Okay.
And the idea was that you have certain waypoints, we will call them,
Okay.
things that people would have to get to and then take a picture of and sort of prove that they were there. The original concept was find your way to that waypoint. So let's say you have 6 waypoints scattered around the area, and you can go to each one in any order you want.
Yeah.
So you're trying to find the best way. You can do it in where you actually have it a race. So it's sort of the first team, if you will, because it is designed to be a team ride. And the first team to do it in all the waypoints in the fastest time would win.
Right. And that's how we did the first year. So and you called it the Hallowed Groad because many of the points we were getting to were cemeteries. We're Eastern Massachusetts. We got a ton of historic,
Very old historic cemeteries.
adorable
Yep.
cemeteries. And you thought, oh, it's a really cool way for people to see all this cool stuff that we have. And you actually had painted rocks, and you left rocks at little stones at each location, and you had to actually find the pile of stones,
Yes.
pick up the stone, finish your route,
Yep.
and then take a picture with all the stones.
Yeah.
And whoever fastest would get it done. But there was a problem when you saw the route everybody did at the end. Not a problem, but when you saw how everybody got to their waypoints, what did you think?
The spirit of this, which is in the title of Groad, was that it was designed to be a gravel ride, and we're going to put that in air
We don't have
quotes.
gravel here.
So trying to be off-road,
Yes.
but we don't have you can do so much off-road around here, but if you're just going from waypoint to waypoint and trying to find the best way, you're going to be taking 80% road.
Right. Because so you didn't want to just show the cemeteries, you wanted to show the trails.
The trails.
You wanted to show that there were so many fun ways to get from point A to point B. And what I think you realized when you saw what people did for the first year is that that's not people's natural inclination.
Yeah.
Or they're just not route planners like that.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So the next year, did we only do 1 year where it was find it yourself?
I think we did, yes.
Okay. So then the next year,
No, maybe we did too.
maybe we did 2. Yes, I feel like we probably did 2. So then after a couple of years of that, where you were realizing that people were just going to hit the road, you then started to create the route that people had to follow if they also wanted to get.
Yeah,
to
so
the
now it has morphed into here is the course, and along this course are the waypoints to come to and find.
Yes.
I mean, we say find, but there they are.
Right.
You
They're
follow,
not hidden.
they're not hidden.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like geocaching. They're
Well,
not
you had
hidden.
the first year there was at least one I could not find when I was out with my friends. It was like
We did had a look. Yes, the
it was
tweety,
one at CP
those branch teepees.
and I never found it. So they're a little more obvious.
Yes,
now.
it was also, you're right. There was an aspect of it that it was slightly off the path and you had to find it.
Yeah. I realized people couldn't find it.
Right.
They couldn't see the forest for the trees.
Yeah.
And the other thing is we got rid of the race element of it. So it doesn't matter who, time is not taken into account. First year we've awarded a prize for whoever did it faster. But then now it's a random draw based on the number of these waypoints you document.
Yes.
So if you get to 7, you get 7 entries. How do you decide? So this is really, I think, the real conversation we would have today is how do you come up with these routes?
Well, as you know, I
Settle in.
constantly look at maps. So
Yeah.
I'm always looking at maps.
Yes.
So coming up with a route, and whether it is a mountain bike route, say for the 50K,
Yep.
which I didn't do this year, or the Hallowed Groad route, it's this massive combination of using existing trails that I've ridden and I know,
Yeah.
and we are trying to use trails that are gravel bike capable.
Yes,
So
it's not a mountain bike ride. It is a
it is not a mountain
maybe
bike ride. It is
scary
designed for
ride.
gravel bikes. Mountain bikes work great for it. There is a decent amount of road though.
Yeah.
So I take in the easier of those trails. Everything I want has to be ridden on a gravel bike. There is a little bit of aspect there that I can ride almost anything on my gravel bike and not everybody can. So I do get that feedback sometimes
From
where
who do you get that feedback?
no, from like say Doug,
I
we,
know.
we saw today.
Yeah.
So he would say, I would say, well, what are you talking about? That trail is completely rideable on a gravel bike. He'd be like, no.
I think
But he's not a mountain biker either.
no, he's not. I think that's the biggest challenge for you as a any route that you create or any ride you're planning is you are a most excellent rider and you're fast. And so that was why it was important we went and tested it last weekend because
Mhm.
I'm a strong rider. I do mountain bike, but I'm probably more like the average rider.
Right.
So it is, I think last year the route was over 30
It
miles.
was. It was about 32.
And I remember saying to you, it's too long. It's too long.
Right. Which,
It's too
and most of the people we know who are doing gravel rides and gravel events, 32 is not long. It's I mean, it's short for many cases, but this around here
it's not gravel.
we don't have, it's not gravel. It is mixed terrain.
Right.
This is, and so you are on very, very slow trails most of the time, which are in many cases mountain bike trails or portions of trails that are in a mountain bike area.
Right.
So the going is slow. And then you on top of that, because you're stopping these waypoints and you're taking pictures, and when you're with a team, and every added rider to a team just slows the whole route down a little bit more. Things happen, all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. So it can be, you really bring the average pace of a group down to sub 10 miles per hour. And then yeah, it gets to be long. And also the days are very short now.
Yeah.
Sunsets at 4:30.
Yeah. So
So
during our testing, like we were talking about this just this morning, there was one section where there was a road option. You could go up the road straight up fast. It would take you 5 minutes. Or
mhm.
there was a parallel trail,
Trail.
which we took,
Yes.
and it took 40 minutes.
Yeah, it would easily add 40 minutes on.
And so
It was adding maybe an extra quarter mile for distance and about 40 minutes of time.
yeah, well, and also because this is a scavenger hunt ride, we're also trying to add cool things for people to see and even learn, right?
Yep.
So if we weren't doing the scavenger hunt element, then maybe that would have been fine because you were going to take a right and keep going on the trails. But we ended up going. We wanted to go into downtown Hopkinton for the waypoint. So you have to balance all of those too. You have to balance the number of miles, the number of hours it'll take the average rider, so your wife, the stops
Mhm.
that were and also not too many stops. There'd be a couple of times you're like, do we want to have them stop here? It's like, well, we just had them stop and there's something right there. And how many times can we ask them to stop to take pictures? Because there's lots of cool stuff that maybe you wouldn't normally and will be easy to find. Like
Right.
there were a couple of places where you're like, oh, that's a really cool tree. But is everyone gonna notice it? Or is it gonna be like the teepee that you're like, maybe people won't notice it? And then, yeah. And then finally, on the waypoints, some of them are in cemeteries. And so we want to be respectful.
Correct. You have to balance that. Do we have a group of 8 riders tromping through to the back of a cemetery? In some cases, yeah, it's okay.
Right.
There are some of these really small ones where, like, the last person was buried in 1910.
Right.
And maybe the older it gets, the more you feel like you can kind of go in there and do more things. But we really mostly kept it like we ride through a big cemetery on the roads,
Yep.
and there was a bench there that we used.
Which, by the way, if you put a bench in a cemetery, you're asking people to sit on it.
Exactly.
That seems
Another cemetery we didn't have anybody go into. We just had pictures taken at the front sign.
yes, right on that, because there was a stone wall right there, and they could go right there. Yeah.
And then a new addition this year is an old cemetery where they actually have a, well, I don't want to, we'll call it a dirt-ish road, but where they access it.
Kind of around the back.
And
Yeah.
it wraps around, and this is a very small, it's maybe 1 acre.
Yeah.
And so,
Very old.
and that wraps around, and then we had a really neat headstone at the very, very back edge.
Looked like a millstone.
So it did look like a millstone. It was round like a millstone.
And it said things like, what was amazing to me about that one is it says Trails End on one side, and then it says life is real on the other side. And I was like, who decided why? Like, why are these things on here? Right? They obviously meant something to somebody, but like, you just want to know. And that's my favorite part of this thing that you've created, is that normally people would just drive by that cemetery, probably never notice it,
Might not even know.
might not even know it's there. But now you've sent somebody into it, and they're looking at the headstones, and they're looking at the beautiful designs of them, the beautiful carvings of them. They're reading them. And I think there is a homage to that, right?
Absolutely.
So it's I know people are sensitive about cemeteries. We have ours at cemetery across the street where does not, like, no bikes, no nothing, no, and you're like, but who's coming in here? Like, have someone in here and sit and enjoy the view. And so I keep saying, if we ever get buried, I'm gonna put a bike rack next to ours.
That's right. There you go.
Pull on up. We have some tools hanging there.
Yeah. Yeah. So the route, I have to come up with a route that incorporates places that I want people to go.
Yeah.
So in many cases, it's, oh, I want to use that cemetery, and I want to use this cemetery, and I want to use that statue. So getting those all linked up.
Yep.
And so I will look at places I know I've ridden, obviously looking at all the maps.
Yep.
And looking at Strava heat maps often. So, and now everybody else has a heat, like Ride with GPS has a heat map now, which is where I create the route in Ride with GPS.
Yes. Yep.
Garmin has heat maps, which they've had forever. And using all of those tools to basically kind of come up with a route. And one of the hardest things for me is keeping people off the trails. And as you talked about the difference in the time between the road and the parallel trail,
Yep.
I want to use every bit of dirt I can. Keeping mostly off the road as much as possible. But if I did that, it would take 8 hours.
I mean,
so
that happened during part of our tests, right? We were kind of near the end, wrapping up. We are on glorious, smooth, new asphalt, just gorgeous. And
yes,
you're
on
like,
a very, very back road with these
beautiful
towering trees canopy over the road. It's a very nice road.
If you were gonna road ride, this is it.
Yes.
This is what you want. And you go, let's turn left here into the woods.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what are we doing? Like, what? And so sure enough, we bump through the woods. It's fine. We pop out. I go, would we have just completed? He said, you said yes. And I was like, why would you take us off that beautiful road?
Because it's dirt.
Yeah, you definitely. Yes, you're right though. It is balancing, especially I think where the dirt is in the time of the ride too makes a difference. So at the beginning of this year's route, there's quite a bit of there's a little bit of walking, a little bit of hike a bike, right? Because there were some wood bits.
Oh, there's some wood planks to get over some wet areas.
Yeah, and you were like, I don't know, maybe I'll take this out. And my opinion, which I hold to, is it was at the beginning of the ride. So humor is high, adventure is high, hike a bike fine.
Mm-hmm.
Don't throw that in at mile 20 of 22,
Mm-hmm.
then I don't want it. Like I don't I'm looking to wrap up, and so
That makes
like
sense.
front end dirty, little silly, near to the end of it when it's like, okay, we're done now. Let's wrap this up. A little less. But you're right. Your inclination is just we were going through one neighborhood and you're like, maybe here. No, maybe here. No, maybe here.
I was just trying to get back to the trail.
You just wanted to get to the trail so desperately, only for I
And
don't
we
know.
had, and I had us going to a trail, but it was completely washed out. I think a beaver dam might have submerged this section of trail.
Right.
So had to go back to the road, and I was trying to find a new route down to where I could see it was dry.
I just was like, just stay on the road.
Just because we were almost at that cemetery.
Yeah, but you're right because every mile, I mean, 1 mile of road versus 1 mile of trail. What would you say?
Well, if you think about it this way, some of those trails, if you're on the road and you're just casually pacing it, then you're probably a casual pace might be 12 miles an hour. That's
Right.
fairly slow, but you're in a group, you're chit-chatting. But in the trail with a group, on a lot of these trails we did, the average pace might be 4 miles per hour, 5 miles per hour. It can be walking or,
Yeah.
fast walking, slow jogging pace. And so it's a big difference. A
Yep.
third of the speed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, do you think, I mean, you mentioned riders who don't mountain bike, but do you try to take into account the lowest common denominator on abilities is going to be, or
Oh,
okay,
you can't take the lowest
low,
common denominator. Yeah,
average?
average, I guess. And knowing that in some cases, while I could ride it, people just have to walk over a rock or a
Every biker
section.
brings in a hiker. So, yep. And I know now this is a free event, and we'll talk about how we got to calling it what we called it and how we promote it, whatever. But some events will be like, you have to ride this bike, and they get real details. It needs, this is the type of bike you need. We're not that exact. We're more like, pick your bike, none is right.
The the spirit of the ride is a gravel bike.
Okay.
Obviously do it. We're gonna say do it on whatever bike you want. We do say 40 millimeter tires or greater.
Okay.
And I rode it on 50 millimeter tires on my gravel bike at probably 22 psi, very low.
Yep.
And it was fine for me.
Okay.
So, but yeah, if you tried it on a all road bike, it's say 35 millimeter tires, it was not, you were going to have a hard time in some of those woods.
Yeah. I mean, in hindsight, well, first of all, I think I'm going to do it next weekend, but I took my gravel bike.
Mm-hmm.
And as I've said on this show before, I've really become a purist when it comes to gravel. That's a mixed terrain ride. That's what we're doing. So I'm fairly sure I'm going out on my mountain bike next time.
You would have a better time on your mountain bike.
Yeah, because I think you have to decide on a mixed terrain ride. You have to basically decide where your compromise is.
Yeah.
Right? Are you going to be on a bike where you're most comfortable and most control on the technical areas? The compromise being when you hit that smooth, beautiful pavement I was talking about, you're dragging. Or you flip it. Right. I tend to be more on the side of one than the other. But I don't know. You have always done a really good I think it goes beyond. I don't know if there's a way for you to even explain your ability to put together a route because you've always been really good at it. Like even on the road.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just that you're obsessed with maps. You seem to be able to connect areas that the average person just would not think, even looking at a map, wouldn't be like, I can totally, I can connect this to this. And you seem to remember things like we're driving around or we're riding around and you're like, aha, I saw a entry here.
I do remember things like
Okay.
that. Yes. In fact, like in Iceland this year, we're driving down the highway towards the town where our hotel was and where the event took place.
Yeah.
And as we're driving down, I was telling everybody, see that gas station right there? That's where we parked. And then they shuttled us up to the top of that mountain over there where we rode down all day to get back to our van at this gas station. And then we're heading down further. They go, oh, see that guy see up over there, guys? Like that. We rode from here. We rode around the valley up to the top of that peak, swam in the geothermal pool river, then rode our
from
bike.
your last
White
year?
Rider. Yes, from 2017. So
Yeah. That was
yeah,
fun.
so this was in 2017. I was talking about the ride we took, and so here in 2025, I'm pointing out all the places we rode in Iceland.
I am convinced that there are some people that just have a better navigational system than others. You know, that just can just remember a place and they know which way is north. And then there's me who gets lost.
See, part of that
back.
with me though is that I imprint some of this stuff by looking at the maps after the fact.
Oh, okay. Do you look
Right.
at maps or you look at Google Earth? Like, what's your preferred to like look?
So
places?
Google Maps and Google Earth
Okay.
and Ride with GPS. So Ride with GPS is super important because they have all the different map types. So you have Ride with GPS's own map, and then you have OpenStreetMaps. OpenStreetMaps is incredibly important because that will have most of the trails on there.
Okay.
Sometimes you're looking at trail forks.
Yep.
Because that will have trails and difficulty levels.
Okay.
That is more so if I'm trying to design a route at a place I've never been.
Got it.
Right?
Yep. Yep.
So it is smashing all of the different sources together to come up with this. Oh, and then Google Street View, super important, and other map street views, so that I can, because I will often see a trail and say, I don't think that's really there. So then I go to Street View and hopefully there's a Street View of the area. And then I'm scanning on Street View to see if I can see the trail coming off the road.
Okay.
And that is also really crucial.
Is Ride with GPS the best of the route planners in your estimation for this kind of, for any kind? Because I know some people like,
I think it is.
they have Strava. You can plan a route.
I've tried using Strava to plan a route. It may have gotten better. Last time I used it, it was not good whatsoever.
Okay.
Trail Forks was horrendously bad.
Okay.
Just their route building system constantly made errors, and it was difficult to correct things. It was difficult to change things.
Okay.
So, and I would say
Take a deep breath.
10 and 15 years ago, maybe, there were a lot of different online sites to create routes.
Okay.
And Ride with GPS was just one of these small little sites that is out there using basically OpenStreetMaps in many cases. And they rose to the top, and where others just went away.
Right.
So to me, Ride with GPS is the best tool.
And you have a premium account, for the record.
I do.
You have a premium account. I don't.
Right.
Which is fine because I don't really do route planning, and I have enough capability that I can favorite one of yours and have it immediately go into my Garmin, which is the final piece of any route that you build. Any Steve the Bike Guy route, you must have a navigation system.
In our area here, were so many roads, so many old 200 plus year old roads.
Yeah.
They're just twisty and windy, old trails going every which way, intersections everywhere.
Yeah.
And so it's not, say, out west where you have lots of just gravel roads, but they're very few and far between anyway. And you doing sort of big miles in that case. This is
and a ride like this, I mean, if someone wants to use their phone, you can try that.
Yeah, and you can use the Ride with GPS app on your phone too.
Just bring a battery backup, because a power bank, because your phone, this is a 3-hour ride
Mhm.
for these 22
Yeah.
miles, and phones struggle with being able to navigate and do all the other things they're doing. Sort of
Yes.
forget phones are doing a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, and because there's so much going on, you kinda need to have it up on the screen the whole time.
Yeah. And the other thing with the courses that's critical is you need it to be accessible. We need to make sure we're not, you know, trespassing anywhere, or that out everywhere that we like. There's a beautiful area um off of the Upper Charles River Trail, Fatima Shrine, that you might think would be a lovely place to send your bikes through, and then you get there and you realize the sign that says no bikes.
Right.
Right. So it's really important that we balance all of these things, because we also want to be good representatives of cycling, right? We can't be sending people out there into the world
Yeah.
to, breaking the law. But that actually comes up to, at the beginning, why did you want to, when you first presented this idea to me,
Mhm.
you were very clear. You did not want it to be a Steve the Bike Guy event. You wanted it to be Hallowed Groad, branded as Hallowed Groad. Nobody
Yeah,
nobody could know. Nobody
No.
could know. And so it has its own Instagram, it has its own website. Why the first year did you not want to take credit, I'll say? Because I've been asked, like, why don't you guys take more credit for it? We're taking credit now,
Are we? Is this going out live?
obviously. Maybe.
So I just wanted to keep that mystery aspect of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just it was, where did this come from? Who does it? No idea. And
Yeah. And it was wild. I was out on my first year with one of the teams riding, and we met people out there, and they were like, oh, so cool. Like, people who were obviously out there looking for the colored rocks,
Mhm.
which was very neat. And then even one of my friends, oh, we were talking to the group, and I had named the character who runs the Hallowed Groad Instagram, Jillian. And the guy's like, this is so great. This is so great. And my friend goes, she's Jillian. And I was like, dude, you're the worst. But one of the other friends on our team was like, wait a minute, you're Jillian? And I was like, okay, well, I guess we did a good job of hiding it, because even the people I was riding with didn't know that we were in charge of it. And it's still a little, I think somebody said it's the worst kept secret, because we've kept it up.
Mhm.
And one of the reasons we've kept it up, at least from my standpoint, from a total branding Steve the Bike Guy, is the Hallowed Groad does not fit with Steve the Bike Guy. Like, Steve the Bike is bright and shiny and blues and oranges, whatever. And the Hallowed Groad has a whole other tone to it. Like, so basically, the beginning of October, the Instagram lights up and we start talking about the upcoming ride and how to sign up, and we try to give clues, and I write it in a different voice, and I post pictures that are all kind of grim.
Yeah, it is a Halloween based ride, and depending on when Halloween falls, is this year we have done it where it's over a weekend, so that your team has the Saturday and Sunday to do it.
Yeah.
And Halloween fell on a Friday, so now we're sort of past Halloween. We decided to make it all week, give people time to do it all week.
We had a couple of
2
we could
weekends,
also
yeah.
we had a couple of racers ask us if it could be ask Jillian if it could be extended, so we and make it more of a harvest celebration. But from a pure branding standpoint, it doesn't match. Right? It doesn't.
No, it doesn't. And I have to say, the Hallowed Grown Instagram is spectacular.
Aw.
I mean, pictures of really cool cemetery features. And of course you add well, sepia and black and white and all that stuff.
Hi, the grungy filters.
But they're gorgeous pictures, and it's really a beautiful Instagram. It's well worth taking a look at.
Thank you. And they're all real, I will say. I mean,
it's all real.
It's not,
Yes.
yeah, I don't use, maybe the first year I might have pulled a stock photo, but they're not all, I think they're even all New England. I try to keep them to something you could legitimately see if you were going through some of a local cemetery. And I do collect the photos kind of throughout the year whenever we go through a cemetery or anywhere that
Oh, the first year, I took a lot of those photos at cemeteries, some of which we didn't even use, but just found a lot of great
But it's
things to
another
take a
one
picture of.
it's another one where it's tricky because we always want to be respectful. And so I try not to include any names, right, of the family
Which
that
is
are on the
great because a lot of the headstones from a certain period, I think in the late 1800s, they said mother and father.
mother,
Yep.
father.
Yep.
But even the pieces I take, like I'm not going to use any. I'll use angels, but if I saw a Jesus statue, I'm not going to use that. Like I try to be very respectful of the type of um statues
Mhm.
and monuments that we share, but they're also so beautiful. There's so many beautiful or weird. There's just weird if you look really close and you see the different, there was one from last year that looked like a, I don't know, it's a elk head or something, and I think it's from a fraternal organization, and this
Mm.
person was a part of, but it was just a metal placard of this thing that looked like kind of an elk, could have been from Lord of the Rings, could have been from Legend. And again, you add a filter to it. And they also have all these little, you just realize how many little statues are hiding in bushes or near, maybe little angels or
Yep.
little trolls or little, there's just
Yeah.
bananas things in cemeteries. And then beyond that, just cool statues. Downtown Hopkinton has a statue of the Hoyts.
Yes.
It has the starter for the marathon. I think there's 5 statues in downtown Hopkinton.
Yeah, in the
Like
Santorini.
shoes drop.
Hmm.
So there's just so many that once again, you just kind of drive by. And that's what I really like about this is that it gets people to
I wanted to show people the trails
yeah,
and get them onto certain trails, especially on a gravel bike they might never ever see or take.
yep.
And then, yeah, here's a cool cemetery, here's a cool statue, a little history plaque, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, watching you look down and read the history plaque
Mm.
of one of the you're like even, we're discovering
Right.
the different options. So I think it's really fun. And so this year we're gonna have they're gonna have 2 winners. We're going to have the random draw for the number of
Yep.
waypoints. And then because last year's teams blew us away with their efforts to
Oh, the costumes and the pageantry of the photos they took at each waypoint was unbelievable.
So this year we're going to have a judging for the spirit of the Groad
Hmm.
and who best
Hallowed
captured
Groad.
the spirit of the Groad. I'm not calling it the spirit of gravel because it is not a gravel ride. I just cannot reinforce that enough. When somebody says, "But is it gravel?" No, it's Eastern Massachusetts. It cannot be.
Gravel.
It cannot be
Mixed terrain.
gravel. And
What
we've
do we
talked
call it?
about doing other ones, and I'm still kind of thinking it would be awesome. Maybe they'd be more Steve the Bike Guy themed, but
We could do a mountain bike one in the summer.
we've talked about doing once
In
you
spring.
road like uh a scenic road
Scenic road.
where I
Yes.
wanted to do where it was all the kind of overlooks and then did you do like an ice cream road or food
Ooh, an
cheese
ice
road
cream
like
road.
one where it's like the stops are going to be places you can eat.
Yeah.
That'd be all day.
Coffee road.
Coffee Groad
Hmm.
starts with coffee, goes to lunch, ends with ice cream. Ha 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 ha. Anyway, but I think the scenic road that would be a really fun like spring summer one.
No.
You know. Anyway, well that
Stay tuned.
stay tuned is the Hallowed Groad. Let's take if people are interested in checking out the Hallowed Groad at any time, it's at hallowedgroad.com.
Yep.
And then also we have an Instagram, which means we do have a Facebook page too. But
And it's running through November 9th.
yeah, it runs through November 9th. And there's also a Strava club. So people can connect because that's actually how you learn more and enter all of that. So I feel like this year it's really rocking and rolling.
Yeah.
I'm excited. All right, let's take a break. All right, we're back. So, speaking of November and fall and Hallowed Groad,
The weather always takes I call it instant turn when you hit November. It really does. And because our birthdays are early November, I sort of notice that. Whereas October is a fabulous month. And then you hit November, and of course the clocks just turn back, sun sets at 4:30, and the rain and the cold set in
yes.
instantly.
So I was on one of my favorite Facebook groups, the Mountain Bike Ladies, and I noticed a couple of questions related to how to dress because the weather has changed. And what I find, so I thought we could talk about some of our favorite autumnal, this time of year. There's a whole nother conversation to be had about winter gear, but this is a tricky time of year because a ride can start cold and end hot, or start warm and cold.
The Sherbert
So,
Cafe is always like that.
yeah. So I thought we could maybe share some of our favorite autumnal riding gear. But my first question is, in running, when I started running, one of my friends was like, you always dress for 20 degrees warmer than you are. So if it is 50 degrees when you start your run, dress as if you were running at 70, which sounds crazy, but almost always works because your inner core heats up to a point. It was a great rule of thumb. I think I saw somebody share that if you're riding on the road, you should do 20 less. So
Yeah, I would agree with that, probably.
Right?
Yeah.
Then you should dress like it's 30.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the Groad
And then, yes.
and mountain biking.
Mountain biking is also easier than the road, so to speak, because of the in the woods, on the road aspect of it. Mountain biking in the woods, the woods are always warmer when it's cold and breezy outside.
Yep.
So I would say you're dressing for warmer.
Right, because you're going to heat up. If
Because
you're
you're
trying to like mountain biking and cross country skiing, I think are kind of similar from you know you're going to heat up, you know you're going to get sweaty, so you want to get some wicking and some layers, right? And that's the big thing is the easily removed layers, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I often wear shorts mountain biking down into the 40s, where of course I would never do that on the road.
Oh, that's true.
Right.
Yeah.
That's just too cold.
Yeah. I also have my own personal rule of thumb, which is everything Steve is wearing +1.
Yeah, that actually works quite well for you.
That actually does work really well.
I'm always
We're wearing the same. I'm in trouble.
I I have always meant to sort of take notes and maybe a log or write down what I'm wearing. I do have a very good ability to judge what I should wear riding and nail it.
So you're going to be no help today. No.
And then I always say, oh, I should kind of write that down in maybe my Strava notes or something and keep track of that. I never do. And yet, I always do seem to dress appropriately.
Yeah.
For the most part.
You aren't as weather sensitive as I am, too. Like, you're not as cold sensitive as I am. For example, when we go skiing before the onset of helmets, you never wore a hat.
Yeah, and I would say I could probably go down to about 15 degrees before I needed a hat.
Yeah.
Now, that has upped since my youth.
Okay.
But that's what it was in my 20s and 30s. It was about 15 degrees before I wanted a hat on.
Yep. You would sometimes have to cover your ears. Where like
Yeah, so then the next thing would be a headband, but I couldn't wear a hat because I was too hot.
Yeah. So for me, once it starts to get chilly, the things I have to protect are my ears. In part, just cold air going in hurts me. Yep. So a headband
That's a common thing for people.
that can cover my ears, but then can also be pushed up over my ears and not be and still serve as like a headband. That's one of my favorite things to use. And a buff. Can we just talk about buffs? I have a gazillion of these light buffs. I think these are magic because they do this magical job of locking the heat into your jacket or your jersey And then when you're like, oh, I'm hot, you take it off, just this little buff, and it's like, ah,
Yes.
like without
suddenly
with
your
little
whole upper
stripping.
body breathes
Yeah.
more.
So that's why I like a light buff, because it's easily removed and it's easily stashable.
Yeah, and I only use a buff fat biking in the snow.
Yeah, again, we are different temperatures, you and I. I wear a buff all the time. I mean, they're good for various reasons, but I have a bunch of these really light ones, and then in the winter I have heavier ones. But a buff and a vest are my two, like once it starts to get chilly, you're like buff and vest, because they both, you get that extra layer, and they're thin, so they're easily removed and squashed
Yep.
into back. Because I think that's the other, like, you need to be able to get these things. If you have too many heavy layers and then you try to take them off, like I was riding with girlfriends the other day, and one of them was literally wearing our hoodie sweatshirt, and she took it off, and I was like, well, what am I going to do with this thing?
Right.
Right. And I think her husband was wearing something heavy too, and he stashed it under a rock
Mm.
and then dropped a pin to be like, this
Yes.
is where I
It
have to go back
to
to
come
get
back
it
to get it.
because I like it. Right. So if you don't want to be stashing your clothing along the way, they have to be lightweight enough.
Yeah, I always say though, if you're like at the beginning of say the Sherburne 50K, right? That is a long event ride.
Yeah.
You could be out there for hours and hours, but you should, and because it's in October, you always know it's going to be cold in the morning and then warming up. And so you're dressing for that warm up time, and you should actually start the ride slightly cold.
Yes. Yeah. I hate that.
And if you
That's
start
true.
slightly cold, you know you're going to be okay usually.
Yeah, I agree. I think I mean, that's the biggest challenge where you're standing there shivering.
It is.
It's just
Yeah.
also not getting so cold at the beginning that you're miserable, but also try to judge. I don't know how you do this if you're not the two of it, like what we call the energy. Right?
Yes, we do.
So there are, like, you walk outside sometimes and it's cold where you're like, oh, I can feel that energy coming. There is warmth coming. So you dress knowing you can just feel that it's going to get warmer.
I have turned you on to this, and now you're a big
Totally
believer.
It totally works, because there are times you walk out and you go, there is no energy happening today. It is never getting warmer.
Right.
We are at the maximum.
Yep.
Break out the fleece.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, and there are days where it's 48 and overcast, and it's going to 50, right?
Yeah.
And overcast, and you can feel that there's zero energy out there. And then other days, where if you're going to have a 15-degree temperature rise, you can almost look at that and say, wow, a lot of times you don't realize that you're going to be gaining a degree, and sometimes every 15 minutes.
Right.
And that is a significant amount of energy in the air, and that's going to
And that's when
reflect into what you should wear.
layers also, like when we were doing unpaved, I was wearing my jersey, arm warmers, the buff, the vest, and we had a lot of energy in the air. So off came the arm warmers, off came the buff, off came the vest, all thin things that stashed really well. We were riding with someone who was wearing a very thin but long sleeve jersey. And he was like, this was a strategic error, because you just wanted those arms to be. So it's those kind of modular pieces that I have come to really appreciate.
Arm warmers are one of the just best pieces of cycling equipment especially for cool weather.
Yeah. And we have a pair. They come in all thicknesses, but we bought some years ago. We got them branded. They're from Jack Crew, that are basically just Lycra.
Yes.
Not lined at all.
Yep.
They're just Lycra. And I love them because they don't get super sweaty. You can wear them for longer, staying just as warm as you need. But then again, when you pull them off, they go right into your pocket, where we have other ones that have some fleece inside them. And I don't like those as much. They get sweaty. So I love those. In fact, when I gave up my vest at Unpaved, and then we couldn't find it later because somebody had brought it back to base camp for me, they were like, we can give you another vest. I was like, oh, I don't care about the vest, but my arm warmers are in them, and I'm going to need those back. Like, they're 10 years old, I know, but they're the perfect. And I think that's what happens to you. You get your pieces that you have really come.
My favorite arm warmers are bellwethers, and they're definitely somewhere between 25 and 30 years old.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe it. That good, as I said, you find a piece and then you just use it. Let's talk about the under, like the one layer, the first layer.
Mm-hmm.
There is you have I have it right here. I spend most of my life listening to you ask me where your gray undershirt is.
Yeah.
This is this is it.
This is one of my favorite pieces. So this is a craft base layer, but sleeveless. And I think it might be the only sleeveless thing I own. And there's something about this. It is
Have you considered
a
buying another
midweight.
one?
No, I've looked, and you see lots of these very thin, sleeveless, lightweight base layers that are just meant to be sort of a wicking layer.
Yeah.
But this is a midweight thermal.
What is it? What
That's
is it
it's
made of?
probably polypropylene.
Okay, because it's so old I can't read.
No, it is. It's very old, and it is one of my favorite base layers. I have a
One?
couple.
I'm gonna say this is your
My
favorite.
I have a
layer.
long sleeve version of that, and then I have another long sleeve version which has wind block
Yes.
center section. So
Yeah.
that is also one of my favorites in particularly cold weather.
Well, that's what I'm saying. What is nice about I have a couple of base layers, not like this one, but a couple of base tank top. And what I like about them is it doesn't add the weight to your arms.
Mhm.
Not the weight, but like the layers to your arms. Like there's just a point where I'm like, there is too much fabric right here at my elbow. So I like a tank top, but it's just funny because if there's one piece I ever heard you say to me on multiple occasions, have you seen my? It's this one. I'm gonna like chip it soon to make sure. Can I find my iPhone with your tank top? Half the time it's in a bag from some event you did that you didn't empty. And
Right.
we find it like 3 weeks later. But this needs to be cloned because this is the piece that you really like. And then in that same spirit, there's vests.
Yes, the gilet.
Vests.
That is the correct term, but yes.
I love a vest. I love a vest. I think vests are the most underappreciated.
Which they give out as the clothing piece for the PMC Unpaved.
So now I have a lot of them.
So now we have a lot of them, and they are fantastic pieces of equipment. I had never really owned one before then, and they are great.
Yeah, again, it gives you that. I think whenever it starts to get chilly, for me, it's ears, core, fingers, toes.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else, we're not into cold, right? Again, cold weather's different. We're just getting into, I need to keep those pieces warm. And then I know I'm going to warm up because it is still October or November. So there's energy.
Yep.
What else? How do I then get this stuff off without stopping too? Because that's the other thing. Anything I just talked about, I can get off while I'm riding. So I don't necessarily have to stop to strip and take off various layers. So you put that.
My saddlebag on my gravel bike is not very big, and in there, well, because my tool's on my bike and because my tool with plugs are on the bike, I had 2 or 3 CO2s. The CO2 head, and maybe and a spare tube,
Yes.
a spare TP2 tube, and still I got my vest shoved into that saddlebag, into a small compact saddlebag. I had all that, and I got my vest shoved in there too when I was done with it.
Does it still have massive amount of wrinkles? Because I think you had it trapped in there for 2 weeks before you.
I did, yeah. I should have taken that out earlier. It was very wrinkly.
Like, boing, like one of those tubes with the snake in it. It went ding.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and the thing about vests is that they are multi-weight also. So we've got kind of the light
And rain
one and rain shedding. So we have the light one that we get from Unpaved. We have from Verge.
Mhm.
Steve the bike guy has a wind blocking one. And that is also one of my favorite pieces of equipment because it's got, again, it just stops it hitting. Even the first Unpaved we did, which was rainy and there was that storm coming. I had the wind blocker under my official EMC just because a good vest helps all the time, but that wind blocker just gave you that little extra. I did pay for it. Man, I think the wind blocker vest cost more than the jacket. I was like, I don't even get sleeves.
Yeah.
But my friend said, trust me, once you wear it, you'll realize that it's worth it. And it is. On a cost per wear basis, I'm getting it done. Another thing I picked up from you. So yeah, and then gloves.
Gloves. Yep. And so for mountain biking and for gravel riding, we will wear a long finger glove all year round. And
I
it's
think I wear them now all the time.
and it's called, generally these are these are a lighter weight glove for all year round use. Well, I say all year round. I should say 3 season probably.
Yeah. Yep.
Then a lot of these glove companies make a slightly heavier version of that. A little bit more insulation on the back.
Yeah.
And then after that, you're into full winter gloves.
Yeah.
But those mid-weight gloves with a little bit more extra layering, those were fantastic.
Yeah.
And you tend not to get too, even if you overglove, you're like, oh, my hands are a little hot, but it's not that much.
Yeah, I have the hand up cooler weather.
Yes, they have a most days glove and then a cool weather.
Cooler weather one. I have those cooler weather, and they're not so heavy that you put them on that you feel like you're wearing insulated gloves, but they just give you. And I'm gonna go to them earlier than you would, as with most things. I probably had a month ahead of you on my cooler weather gear, and so those gloves will start making their appearance. And again, I like them because they're not so heavy that you're like, I'm wearing mittens now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then the final piece would be what I'm wearing right now, wool sweaters.
Yeah, the wool sweaters come out to be worn.
So merino wool sweaters are, they are, I guess, the original athletic clothing.
Yep.
And they are just amazing to ride in. And we make these really nice sweaters, and they are expensive. And then people say, oh, but you ride in those? Absolutely. And they are phenomenal to ride.
Could we ride in them? And we wear them for check presentations.
Yeah, they regulate your temperature so well. And you can splatter mud all over this. And then the mud dries, and you shake it, and you wouldn't even know it was dirty.
Yeah. And it's the wicking. What's nice about them is it's not that you're not going to get sweaty. Of course you're going to get sweaty, but it wicks really nicely. They don't smell. They are, as you said, easy to clean. I don't even wash them that often because I'm so scared of shrinking them because they are merino wool.
Yeah, it's kind of like jeans where you really shouldn't wash them every time you wear them. You don't wash this every time you wear it.
No,
not at all.
Even if I've exercised in it, you leave it out
because they never smell.
Yeah, they're really good.
Yep.
So I mean, they are expensive, but it's one of the few pieces of clothing, again, you can wear riding, and that sweater will take us now through winter.
Yes.
And I'll use that sweater skiing. I use that sweater cross-country
Yeah,
skiing.
a lot of times this will be my outer layer.
Yeah.
And I will fat bike in it, just have more layers underneath.
Yes.
And then sometimes I have a shell, depending on if I'm going to be getting more wet on the outside. So either it's misting out, or I know that snow is going to be spraying up and splattering all over me, which is then going to melt on me. Then I'll have a shell on top of it.
Yeah. But 'tis the season. What do they say? There's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothing.
David's the Norwegians who said that? No, probably the Swedish.
Oh, smart people. All right. Well, we should wrap this up. Cycling Together with Kristin and Steve is a production of Steve the Bike Guy, an independent bicycle shop in Eastern Massachusetts, and Sundin Marketing.
If you like the show, please leave a review or share with a friend. For show notes, links, or to leave a comment, question, or topic suggestion, visit cyclingtogether.bike.
You can follow the shop on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok at Steve the Bike Guy.
All right. See you next time. Thanks for joining the ride.
Bye.
What are people hearing during quick breaks?
Oh, there's music. You don't know that?
No.
In fact, that's why we've talked about it so much. Well, sometimes we need a reset. We needed to reset that.
Okay.